Okay, hi. My name is Sgt Riggs, and thanks to the Division Sergeant Major Merit, we're allowed to come in here to Division Hall today on a Sunday and do a little history tour, okay? And we're all part of the 10th Mountain, which is a symbol there, and I will explain that symbol before we're all said and done, okay? So it starts over here, right here behind Griffin, okay? We've got a uniform of one of the original 10th Mountain soldiers that were the Charles Mini ski troops, right? November 1939, the Soviet Union invaded Finland, and the Finnish soldiers on skis humiliated the Russians, and that is what brought the War Department to decide to start making an actual ski division. They had small ski units throughout the Army, but they decided to finally make a division. So they made a division. Charles Mini, though, I'm sure you've heard that term before. Mini? No? Nobody? Okay. Charles Mini was the president of the National Ski Patrol, and he lobbied the War Department to train a group of soldiers as a ski division. And we became the 10th Mountain Alpine. And interesting bit of trivia, you had to be an elite skier. You had to have 3 letters of recommendation from the National Ski Patrol in order to volunteer as the first group. The drawback from that was they got all skiers, and once they got up in the harsh elements of Hale, Colorado, Camp Hale, Colorado, excuse me, they realized that some of these skier types, like college ski team skiers and elite skiers, had no survival skills. So the next batch of soldiers that they recruited were lumberjacks and Boy Scouts and woodsmen and outdoor types that knew how to survive in the cold, because they had a lot of cold weather injuries, actually, that first batch of soldiers. So that's how they fixed that problem. Anyway, when they first developed, they were the 187 and 187 infantry, and they trained them there at actually Fort Lewis first, and then they moved them over to Camp Hale, Colorado, and all that mountain training. And then what do? They send them on back to retrain them at Fort Ord, California, for an amphibious assault in the Aleutian Islands. So the more the division changes, the more it stays the same. You know, here we are training in the cold weather, and then all of a sudden you're over in the hot environment of the tropics, right? Anyway, so yeah, the first call, okay. I got a lot of my information from this an actual World War II soldier named George H. Rosenfeld. He was the in the 2nd Platoon F Company of the 285, which is also part of the 287. It was all part of the first part of the division. Let's see. Yeah, the War Department gave the authorization and started the 187 Infantry, which I was just mentioned that. We'll go into the symbol here. The red that you see there are not actual swords. You know what those are? Daggers. They are bayonets, actually. The 10th Mountain in its first couple battles up in Mount Belvedere actually ran out of ammunition and fixed bayonets, and they charged the Germans and actually pushed them off the mountain. So they brought that in as part of their symbol, and then if you look at the white outline, it's actually a powder keg. It's not an actual square. It's not an actual rectangle. That powder keg is to show our explosiveness as mountain troops, right? And of course the mountain tab, we don't do a whole lot of mountain stuff now. We still do some every now and then with the mule skinner challenges and the division. I don't know if you guys ever done the division challenges where they go up to Lake Placid and they do like a climb up Whiteface and those kind of things. Fascinating things to get involved in. It kind of brings you back to your roots here with the division and the snow troops. All right. We've got some different pictures here. Here's some of the ski troops here in their gear with their skis and all their cold weather gear. And they suffered some cold weather up in there too, because I mean, we know about some cold weather, right? Of course we do. So, but like that, the survivalist guys, the lumberjacks, the Boy Scouts, they were able to help the ski troops learn the survival skills to survive, like take your boots off, put them in the second layer of your bag, put on some dry socks, keep yourself warm and dry, you know, that sort of thing, because skiers, they go and ski, and then they go in the lodge. Well, as a ski troop, out on the mountain, you don't have that option, you know. So you make your little bedding up in some pines where the snow doesn't come down on you, and you can bed in there like a little rabbit and survive. I've actually taught that course. It's kind of neat. So, anyway. All right, then on to, yeah, the World War II battles. We talked about the bayonets, right? Where it went from there, we went on to heed the call to go and deploy. And of course, we deployed more than a few times besides World War II. They didn't end up going to Korea. They ended up redoing the 10th Mountain Division to become a training division, and they moved them to Fort Riley, Kansas. And then shortly after that, they moved them to Germany, and they became part of NATO, and they're part of what the Cold War concept of defense for that part of Germany, right? I don't know if you know your Cold War history. Of what they've done so far since 1985 is they've done Desert Storm, Desert Shield, which I was part of, not with the 10th Mountain though. They were part of the Hurricane Andrew relief. They also helped out with humanitarian relief to Somalia. They came into the mix for Haiti. They also have served as peacekeepers for Sinai and Bosnia and Kosovo for those peacekeeping missions. They were also one of the first groups to respond to the 9/11 attacks down in New York City. And of course, as we all know, Iraq and Afghanistan quite a few times. Okay, and we're getting ready to go and do that again. So that's how that is. Yeah, look at this climb here. 2 soldiers, 10th Mountain, 10th Light Infantry Alpine, what I was talking about. Later renamed the 10th Division. Free climb a rock cliff at Camp Hell, Colorado. Look at that. Is that crazy? That's crazy. But what's interesting is that was their training, right? And their training came in handy when they went up into Riva Ridge and the Ardennes Mountains and Mount Belvedere and all that. A lot of it was free climbing. And they were in the dark. It was icy. It was nasty. And the Germans didn't think that nobody in their right mind would climb up the steep faces of the mountain. Well, that was our only option, and we took it. And we ended up taking them off the mountains. So it's surprising. They had their back against that cliffside thinking nobody's going to get me, and we came up and in the back of the head, you know? So we got the advantage. We got the advantage and took it. Because the 10th Mountain was so unique of a unit, as a mountain unit, the Post, the Saturday Evening Post, like that, they did a major layout in their magazine about the 10th Mountain Division soldiers and their gear and all that sort of thing. And it would be like modern day where someone would do a video and it would go viral, right? This was on, the Saturday Evening Post was like Time Magazine or any of your major magazines like National Geographic at that time. So everybody was reading the Post. So everybody of our grandparents' generation knew about the 10th Mountain and what kind of craziness they were getting ready to do. So, and it is a bit crazy. I mean, you know, oh, here they are on with their packs and stuff, crossing through the water and that sort of thing with the snowshoes. If you've never tried snowshoes, you should. It's right interesting. So, and it's quite a PT session, right? Here's some more soldiers here doing some of their ski tactics. They've also done some cable with little medic crossings. And this is actually, they trained a lot of this in Camp Hale, and then it became important when they got down here, where was this? This was Riva Ridge, yeah, in Italy. So they actually used this to medevac soldiers out of rougher locations. Can you imagine being, I mean, it's crazy enough to think about, you know, being in a basket pulled up to a helicopter, but I mean, you're on a cable getting zipped across mountain ridge to mountain ridge. Yeah, that'll make you think twice about how high up you are, you know. So, but Minnie Dole, going back to Minnie Dole, I forgot about him. He lobbied, but not only did he lobby, he wasn't just a fair weather guy. He actually came in and help develop the program, help develop the 10th Mountain into Alpine Soldiers. So he put his money where his mouth was. And it was very, a lot of people were very surprised because he, you know, I mean, being in charge of the National Ski Patrol, he's a high profile guy, and yet he's willing to put himself down into the mix with the other soldiers and teach them what they needed to learn and go with them to World War II. Because you got to remember, a lot of people were drafted back then.